Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to this Suntico for Sage 50 Accounting Hangout on Air. This week, a sneak preview of what's coming up in Suntico Release 3. And specifically, 7 new features of Suntico that will help companies that use Sage 50 Accounting boost productivity. As a reminder, this is one of a series of Hangouts on Air every Thursday at 1300 Eastern. My name is Hugh Johnson, Senior Vice President of Business Development at Suntico. If you like what you hear and like what you see, please tell the world, share it on all your social networks. If you don't like it, please tell me. You can still share it on your social networks as well. I'll leave that entirely up to you, but please tell me. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Google+, Twitter, or via my email address, which I'll give to you at the end of the Hangout. So let's take a look at today's agenda. What we have on today is just a brief look at the productivity problem that faces small to medium-sized businesses. This is the fundamental reason why Suntico exists in the first place. We exist to address that problem, help small to medium-sized businesses close the productivity gap. Then on to the meat of today, a sneak preview of Suntico Release 3, and specifically 7 features that help close that productivity gap. And finally, as a taster, a little glimpse into the future and what's coming down the line beyond Release 3. So let's go on to look at the SMB productivity problem. What we have here is plotted revenue against payroll cost, in other words, productivity by company size for US businesses. And what you see as a small business grows and adds employees, productivity plummets. And it reaches an all-time low at around about 20 employees. This may be no surprise as you add extra overhead of additional people chasing people trying to catch up on what's going on, people leaving messages, people sending emails around and meetings about meetings and so on and so forth. But anyway, productivity drops. And the reason Suntico exists is to help those companies, help companies employing 10 to 50 people that use Sage 50 accounting software, help them close that gap. So let's look at 7 features in which Suntico can help you close that gap. And they fall into 2 main areas. And in fact, the 2 main ways in which you can close the productivity gap in small to medium-sized businesses is by helping people find information and helping them put that information to good use. So let's look at the first five ways, which is helping people find information. The first is actually very, very simple. It's helping people find each other. This might sound, sorry, I just went into the wrong, where are we? Okay, this might sound a little bit strange. Here we are logged into Suntico, and you'd be surprised how many businesses don't have a company directory, a directory of employees. Now, we've just added that into Suntico. It's a very small thing. You could argue trivial, but at the time you need it, absolutely critical. So, for example, I've got a crisis up, and I need to contact Thomas Clancy. He's one of 30, 40, 50 other colleagues within the company. I don't know everybody's number. All I need to do is just look up in Suntico, and the full details are there. Very, very simple, very straightforward, very easy to understand. The next way in which we can help you find information is through the use of groups. Again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get rid of all those emails flying around, sharing tips and tricks about this and that within the business, and pull that information together into a place that can be found by other people that need to know it. So what we've done is we've added a groups feature, which is very similar to that you'd find within LinkedIn and other social networks. We have a marketing group and a finance group. Again, the difference here is that this information is internal within the company, so it operates more like Yammer or Jive or something like that. But again, the other difference is you can easily reference in the structured business records within your company into your discussions. What I've got here is just going into the marketing group, and I see a discussion about MailChimp, which is actually very topical because that's one of the things we'll be talking about later on today. Groups can be open, as in anyone can join them, or they can be private, so you can use them for confidential discussions, perhaps among the executives of the company. The next thing I want to talk about is using tags. Last week, you may recall that I introduced the subject of dynamic lists, and the example I gave and showed was somebody in credit control creating a dynamic list of all customers that had an outstanding balance exceeding $10,000. And as companies' balances fluctuated, those customers would pop into and out of that list, and I would automatically be able to track what's going on with companies that have a balance exceeding $10,000 because I'm a credit controller. Now, tags works, you could argue, in the opposite way. And it's a very, very familiar concept. But it's static tags as opposed to dynamic. So you're creating static lists as opposed to dynamic lists. And what we've done is added the ability within Suntico to add tags to any record within the system. So it's not just accounts and contacts, but I'll show you an example of an account. You drill down into the account detail record. And of course, these are all accounts that are coming up from your Sage 50 accounting software, and you can tag them with anything you want. Okay, you can create new tags and just tag them. And what that means is in your list views, then you can search and filter on particular tags. So you could pull up a list of all customers that are prospects, or a list of all sales invoices that you don't think are going to get paid, or whatever. Just provides a very, very good way of managing large lists of information, the way that you might want to manage them. Next thing I want to talk about is line item search. And again, last week we would have seen that we've pulled up from Sage 50 all the transactional details, sales orders, sales quotes, sales invoices, and everything, and the same on the vendor side. And we've pulled up all that information into the system, but that's a kind of individual transaction level. What we've added in Release 3 is a line item view. So actually what we've done here is we've pulled together a list of all line items that appear on all the transactions within the system. So, for example, if you wanted to pull out a list of all sales quotations for a particular product that are outstanding, you just pull them together on this list. Or if you want to pull together a list of all sales invoices for a particular product over the last 6 months, again you could. So it's a very, very simple way of drilling down from a product perspective as opposed to a customer or a transaction perspective. And the last thing in terms of finding information that I want to talk about is events. Last week we introduced the idea of tasks. This week we're introducing the idea of events within Suntico. That's coming out in Release 3. Events are very similar to tasks, except what they have is they have a precise start and finish date. Like a meeting, for example, has a 10 o'clock on Monday and finishes at 11. So I go in and I look at my events list. And here I have my upcoming events. I can look at past events as well, and I can filter. So what I've got here are events that I'm involved in, or I can look at specifically events that are created by me. So I can look at the details. I can see this is a customer meeting. Now, just like tasks, I can reference an event to any other record within the system, or records within the system. So this particular event is referenced to a customer account, Armstrong Landscaping. And if I go into the Armstrong Landscaping account, I will see a record of that event. So from a customer point of view, you can see a history of all meetings that you've had with that customer in the past. You can attach notes, attach documents. Each event has a wall, just like tasks do. So you can have full discussions around the event, and that's automatically referenced with whatever you want to reference it with, whether it's a transaction or a customer or an account or a contact or all of the above. So that's a very quick look at events. So that's 5 ways in which Suntico helps you find information within the business. Now the next thing I want to talk about is how you put that information to good use. Last week we introduced tasks. Well, in release 3 we've got some very interesting enhancements coming up within tasks, and what I will do is I will show you that. Just a couple of enhancements, but they make a big difference. At the beginning I was talking about the small to medium sized business productivity challenge, and the problem that small businesses face is that they are ad hoc in nature, yet they need to get a degree of automation into the business. And this is what we're doing with the task management. So what we've extended with tasks is the ability to define standard tasks as opposed to leave it free format. So if and you can define this to meet your own particular requirements. So if qualifying sales leads is an important thing within your business, you can create a generic task called qualified sales lead, and then within all the tasks you can look for open tasks relating to qualified sales leads. In other words, all the sales leads that I need to go and qualify. So it's a very powerful way of managing things that are important and repeating within the business, and then everything else you can just stick into a general bucket called general task. The other enhancement that we've made within the system and tasks is how those tasks are communicated to people that need to know within the wall. So if I look back on my wall, and what I can see is that the status of the task is communicated on the wall. So the fact that the task has changed puts a posting onto the wall and notifies me that the task has been done. Okay, so that saves me actually having to manually go in and check and follow up on a task-by-task basis. Final thing I wanted to talk about is MailChimp integration. Only 7% of small to medium-sized businesses use a dedicated tool to manage email marketing. And I don't know if any of you have tried, and this is a plug for MailChimp, but if any of you have actually ever tried using MailChimp, it is unbelievably easy to use and to get started. And the starting point for most businesses trying to get going with email marketing is basically to get a regular customer newsletter going. The best source of a list of customers for any small business is going to be in their accounting software, because by definition that's their list of customers. So what we've done within Suntico is we've added MailChimp integration, so that all the information that you pull up and you sync from Sage 50 Accounting into Suntico, plus actually if you've got other prospect information, people that have visited your website and various other contacts that you've made that are not in Sage, you can just upload those to MailChimp at the click of a button. That gets published into a list. In this case we've called them Suntico contacts, and you can work away generating email marketing campaigns to your customers. And the good news is MailChimp has an unbelievable free plan for small businesses like yourselves, where as long as you've got up to 2,000 or less email addresses, it's free to use. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. So going back to our agenda, what I did promise you, I'll go back to what I did promise you on the agenda was a quick look at the longer-term roadmap in terms of what's coming up in Suntico. I'm not going to dwell on it in any detail, but if you go to our website, the home page, just go down to the bottom of the page. I'm going to leave you to do this yourselves, and click on Roadmap. What you will see is our published roadmap in terms of what's coming down the line. Now that's subject to change, of course, and as we change it, we will update that. But it also allows you to feedback to us what you like and what you would like us to prioritize. And I welcome all of your input on that. So, going back to today, and what we've learned is that we've learned Suntico Release 3 helps small businesses that use Sage 50 accounting software to close the gap that they face in productivity by helping find information better and helping them put that information to better use. I want to thank you all for listening, and don't forget, next week, 8th of May, 1300 Eastern, we'll take a deeper dive into how you might use Suntico to better manage credit control within your company. Thank you very much for listening. If you've got any feedback, again, contact me on LinkedIn, Google+, Twitter, or at hugh.johnson@suntico.com.